Zarodinu Tovarshi. So, from the motherland, this says. So I'm very excited because today I've gone to the Central Museum of the Armed Forces, which I'm told has the flag that they raised above the Reichstag, and it has the U-2 plane that Gary Powers was flying over Russia when it was shot down in 1960. So this should be very fun. I am so excited, guys, because you know what that is? That's the actual banner that they raised over the Reichstag. Like, holy shit, it's the real thing. It's the actual real thing. I remember I gushed about it in my video in Berlin, and it's actually right there. That's the actual banner. And the struts that are supporting it, I'll get out of the way for these people, are from Katyusha rockets. And in boxes around it, are iron crosses that they made in case they ever took Moscow. Made a touch prematurely, but holy shit, it's the real thing. It's the actual real thing. I mean, you should have seen me when I came in. It was like I was seeing the Lubyanka again, or the Brandenburg Gate. I was hyperventilating. It was crazy. It's actually there. This is insane. So these are all the banners that they took from German battalions and divisions and things. They're sort of spread out everywhere. But these are the biggest collection of them are here. So this is Zhukov's coat and all of his medals, all of them there. If you've seen The Death of Stalin, he puffs his chest out, and if you watch the footage, he does actually do that. Now, normally, what they would have here is a coat that Stalin used to wear, but it's not here today. And I don't know where they've put it otherwise, but yeah. Oh my God, guys, it's unreal. It is actually unreal. It's actually right there. These are the Orders of Glory, first, second, and third class. And if you had all three of these, you became Geroi Sovietskaya Soyuza. You became a hero of the Soviet Union. And apparently the award wasn't given posthumously, so all of these people survived. But even so, you know. But yeah, so we have the Orders of Glory, first, second, and third. If you had all of them, you became a Geroi of the Sovietskaya Soyuza. There you go. And here we have a whole wall of Geroi Sovietskaya Soyuza. More than I could ever possibly read out to you. Just a tiny fraction of the people who fought in that war. So we got this, and then on the other side of the room there's the same sort of thing. It's just, they're plastered everywhere. All of these names. To ordinary men and women, that's right, including women, who fought and died to defeat fascism. There's the flag again, and the Katyusha struts, and the iron crosses made for if they ever took Moscow. And we've got a whole bunch of memorabilia down here. On the other side, there's a book that outlines the plans for Operation Barbarossa that they captured. Some old maps. The banners, like I showed you. Banners for each of the fronts. So we've got Ukrainsky front, Belaruski front, that kind of thing. And some more heroes again. All of these men and women. Then we've got a genuine Order of Victory, which only 16 people got. Apparently it's made out of gold, diamonds, rubies, and platinum. But yeah, here we go. So many. Holy shit, man. The actual banner's right there. It's right there. It's the real thing. Guys, I'm gonna start gushing again because you know what this is? This is the genuine fragments of the U-2 spy plane that Gary Powers was flying in 1960 when it was shot down over Sverdlovsk. It's the real thing. It's the actual real thing. It's really here. And just above it, we've got a sample of the rocket that was used that the US didn't know that they actually had. They didn't think the whole reason they could do it is they thought they could do it with impunity. But actually they didn't really know about this rocket, and it could be shot down. And indeed it was. So yeah, this is the actual fragment of that rocket. of that spy plane. I still use the U-2, do you know? Yeah. Not as much now, there are more satellites, that kind of thing. But yeah, this is the actual U-2 spy plane. Holy shit. And here we have a genuine cockpit from a MiG-21, which is apparently the workhorse of the Soviet Air Force. It was in service until 1985, I think the tour says. But yeah, a genuine MiG-21. There you go. Still works. Okay, there's no staff around. I'm gonna touch the U-2. Shh. It's the actual plane. It's the actual plane. I'm gonna do it again. I love this country. So this is apparently a genuine dugout used by partisans, delivered to the museum. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Real thing. Got your rifles and machine guns at the back. Got your picture of Stalin and Lenin, and all the rest. Very cool. So this is a truck that crossed Lake Lagoda twice during the siege of Leningrad. You can tell by the 2 stars on the door. So this is a genuine one of those trucks. Very cool. So I'm at the back now, in the open area, having a look at some military hardware, some old Red Army hardware, and various Warsaw Pact stuff. But so here's one piece. This is the Svinna, which is the missile that was used to shoot down the U-2 that we saw earlier, or at least it's this class. But what you'd really want to see, and the lovers of Rambo and those sorts of movies, is this bad boy. Now, I can't remember what it's called. Let's go over and have a look. So this big daddy here is the Mi-24, which if you've ever played Call of Duty 4, you would have shot down countless times. Or if you've seen the Rambo, I don't remember which one he goes to Afghanistan in, the one where it says, "This movie is dedicated to the heroic fighters of the Afghan Mujahideen," which now reads as incredibly ghoulish, given what happened in 2001. This is the bad boy that you would have been shooting down or seen Rambo shooting down. Now, I know nothing about the specs of this thing or its operational history. I just know it was used in Afghanistan. I'm not a gun nut because I find gun nuts equally ghoulish and tedious. They combine the worst aspects of stats nerds and just straight up scaring people. So yeah, this is the Mi-24. There you go. The big granddaddy of them all. Bit of Cold War nostalgia there for you. Okay, so we've moved to the outside area where it's got a whole bunch of military tech, and because I'm a weirdo, I'll show it to you. Now this was one of the armoured trains that was used during the Civil War. They were almost like battleships, really, you know, given that Russia is Russia is, you know, a land power. So these guys would bang around on the railways, and they would essentially, you know, as I said, act like huge battleships. And this one apparently was used up until the Second World War. Yeah, so it's a massive, as you can see, massive armoured train. They'd live on that, they'd fight from there, that kind of thing. And yeah, you would just control whole regions by controlling the railways like that. So yeah, well, this is one of the armoured trains from the Civil War. And then we move over, and we've got some sort of anti-aircraft piece of some description. And then, just down there, we've got some sort of, we've got Cold War era tanks, some stuff from Afghanistan, that kind of thing. So not as interesting, but as you can see, you can get a sense of the size of this carriage. Pretty big. Yeah, they just function like battleships. I don't know how big the crews were that lived on them, but yeah, just interesting little bit of trivia. This revolutionary era armoured train. So there you go, let's keep looking. So for all you Fallout enthusiasts and lovers of wacky 50s designs, this apparently is one of only maybe 5 or 6 of these self-propelled guns that were ever produced. And the idea was that they would launch atomic weapons. They would, you know, so you'd be driving around in Western Germany, whatever, and there's an American tank battalion, kaboom, whatever, you know. Apparently in the testing stage, they discovered a whole bunch of defects and everything, so it was never developed into full service. But yeah, just the 1950s and the madcap dash to try and miniaturized nuclear weapons and use them as much as they possibly could back when we were all a little bit innocent. Well, back when the people developing these things were a bit innocent of the effect, or at least didn't care enough. I mean, you know, the people of Hiroshima have known since 1945. But yeah, there we go. It's this mad experimental tank for you at the Central Museum of the Armed Forces. So here we have what is actually one of the original Katyusha rocket launchers. With their famous, very distinctive sound. They became known as Stalin's organ by the Germans. And if you watch any footage of the Second World War on the Eastern Front, you will hear this. If I were to find a clip for you, you would know what it sounds like. You would have heard it before. And yeah, it's just cool to finally see one in the flesh. I always expected it to be bigger, but then that's always the way when you see things that you've read about since you were small. So yeah, a Katyusha rocket launcher, the real thing, built in 41. There you go. By me here is a riverboat that took part in a great many liberation operations. I think the tour says for Belgrade and Vienna, all that kind of thing. You know, the big Central and Eastern European cities that have rivers running through them. Apparently, the guys who captained this boat got awarded the Order of Lenin for their part in the Battle of Belgrade. So yeah, just a riverboat, part of the river flotilla. Obviously, the Navy didn't play the Navy obviously played a huge role. You know, it was a massive war, but you know, not as big as, say, the Army and the Air Force. But let's go up and have a closer look. This is the boat. I wish I could give you a better view of it. But yeah, apparently, guys who had the Order of Lenin captained this. So, there you are. A little piece of history. Well, this whole place is history. There you go. And then we've got some more artillery pieces over there. Cool Soviet ship that fought in the Great Patriotic War. Большое спасибо. Memorial to the men who died in the Kursk disaster. So in 2000, during a training exercise, a Russian submarine with 118 men on board sank. All 118 men died, despite rescue efforts by the Russian Northern Fleet. And they believe that the cause of the malfunction was that a torpedo had leaked during a dummy attack by a surface ship. And yeah, so it's something of it is still seen as a huge tragedy in the Russian memory, and this is just a monument to them. So that was the Centralny Muzej Vorozhnych Sil SSSR. Well, it's not the SSSR anymore, but you know, the Central Museum of the Armed Forces of the Russian Federation, formerly the USSR. So it was really good, but I think I'm all a bit Sovieted out today. So today I'm going to say Пока-пока за родину. So goodbye from the motherland. And remember, stay dandy.